This story literally happened to me a week ago. My name is Joseph and I live in a country based in Europe. I am a student studying at university and currently live with my parents. A few days ago, before this outbreak took place in my country, we had been informed through the media that we shouldn't leave our houses and to minimize contact with people for the next 2 weeks. The government had closed down all schools and certain businesses. This also included events within my own country. It was a Friday evening. I was trying to kill some time by playing computer games when me and my parents heard our doorbell ring. I was confused because we weren't expecting anyone. It would be really irresponsible to visit during the outbreak. I thought to myself that it could be one of my aunts or my cousins who needed help or supplies, so I immediately went to answer the front door. I was just surprised that they didn't inform us about this visit earlier. Before I could even touch the door handle, I looked through the blinds to see who it was. It wasn't any of our relatives, but 2 men in dirty yellow overalls which looked like hazmat suits. I couldn't even make out their faces. They looked so creepy. My heart started to beat faster. I thought that my father or mother had symptoms, and they called the hospital for doctors or some medical professional. Maybe they didn't tell me so as to not make me so worried or panic about them. But when I checked the living room, neither of them seemed to be ill. They were surprised too. Something doesn't feel right. The doorbell rang once again. I hesitated, but I finally pulled the door open. The men introduced themselves as a disinfection team sent by the city council. They told us that every house in the area would be disinfected and we will need to leave for an hour. They even showed us papers that seemed legit. We had many doubts, but they convinced us. Looking back, it was the dumbest thing we did, but they inspired trust in us, and we were already distracted by the stress of the situation. Me and my parents looked at each other. We shrugged our shoulders and decided to take a walk. They gave us a copy of a warrant, plus we thought we were leaving our house in safe hands. After a few minutes of walking, I remembered that I forgot to turn off the oven. I said it to my parents about this and they decided to wait for me. I sprinted back to my house. As I got to the house, I heard some weird noises behind the closed door. Why did they close the door? I said to myself. Fortunately, I had an extra key and I opened the door. The view inside the house horrified me. I saw a huge mess. All of the cabinets were left open, furniture was turned over on the floor, and all of the food we gathered as supplies were thrown out. I froze from fear. Millions of thoughts were flying through my head at that moment. I immediately knew we had become victims of a robbery. How could we have been so stupid? I thought to myself. I turned around and wanted to run out of the house and call the cops, but I stumbled upon one of the robbers standing at the front door holding a big knife. I can't let you leave, boy. You've seen too much, he said to me in a really evil way. Then he started to run towards me. Without hesitation, I ran to the bathroom and locked the door behind me. He was screaming and pounding on the door. If you open the door, I won't hurt you. I promise, he said. Of course, I didn't believe him and hid inside the bathtub. He started to stab the wooden door. I was so scared I couldn't even blink. My heart was pounding so hard. It felt as if I was trying to escape my chest. I started to pray because I thought that was literally the last moments of my life. Tears started to stream down my face. I cried more than I had ever cried in my entire life. Finally, the pounding on the door stopped. He was gone. I heard police sirens and I opened the door. My parents ran up to me and hugged me. I felt like the luckiest person alive. I was so happy. They told me that after a while of waiting, they eventually decided to walk back to the house. Then my father saw a robber in the door with a knife. He hid behind the trees and called the police. The police told us that they were searching for these men for 2 weeks. They had already robbed 10 houses in the nearby cities and used the situation as a way to gain trust in people and to access their properties. The papers they found on them were also fake. I hope they will rot in prison now. Let this be a warning.
I hope you guys won't fall for this kind of scam.